Hey, this is John Young, and we're going to be doing a little bit of a review video here right now on the Everse 12. I've talked about the Everse 12 earlier in the season, but really everything we did early on was stuff in the studio, and it was stuff that we hadn't gotten them in the field yet. Well, now they have been out, and they've been out at, I think they've been out to 11 weddings this summer, and we've used them at like 9 of the 11. So this is the time for me to be able to give you an idea of how we utilize these within our different shows. As we as wedding DJs are out there performing. Everse 12, if you're familiar with, we've talked about the Everse 8, which is the 8-inch version of this speaker. So it's a much more compact form factor, much easier to fit into a small car. The Everse 12 is a 12-inch version, battery powered. It has a lot of capabilities. Battery runtime is longer than the 8. It has a little bit more horsepower. It's a step up. There's no question about it. And when we were in the office, we really couldn't tell for sure how much more of a step up it was. You could kind of get an idea of it. We felt that it had a little bit more of a direct throw, that it didn't lose as much over a distance as the 8 did. But really, when you were sitting there right in front of them and had them at a high volume, they didn't sound much different between the two. Well, our guess of them having a longer throw is definitely an accurate thing. The way I've been using the Everse 12 is I've had many barn weddings this year. And in some of those barn weddings, we're like playing on one end of it and we're shooting across the barn to the far end of it where there's the head table or something's going on. Or we've got a little wing off to the side. So the Everse 12 basically became kind of a boost speaker for the far end of it. Why do I need that? Oh, you just get bigger speakers. No, I don't want to have bigger speakers. I have my Evolve 50s over here, and that's doing this end of the room very, very well. If I go and I end up playing, get bigger speakers louder, that means all the guests in front of me are getting blown out when trying to get the microphone loud enough so the people up there can hear it. So the Everse 12 works wonderfully that I can have my Evolve 50s. Then about 3/4 of the way up the room, I can have the Everse 12, and it's going to fill. Now here's a couple of pictures here from a barn where we had the area where the speakers were. We actually didn't have our booth up there. Our booth was in a different area. And then that had to kind of come and shoot through this kind of studded wall into an additional space. Yes, we were getting sound through those studded walls, but we weren't getting the highs to the level that I liked them for the ability to hear microphones. The solution? Put the Everse 12 right there at that wall, and then the highs from the Everse 12 were able to fill. Now, the thing that you're going to find out when you're doing that type of an application is that you have to be able to do some things with time delay. You've got to delay that sound from that. You get that sound that's coming across from the Evolve 50s, and then when it gets to the Everse, well, if the Everse is not delayed, that means that the sound, Everse is up here and the Evolve's back here. That sound is kind of doing this thing. So by the time somebody's hearing it, they're hearing multiple things going on at the same time. So we end up using the delay a lot with the Evolve, the Everse 8s and the Everse 12s, depending upon what we were doing with them. But at the Everse 12, we set the delay. We were in a barn basically, and I could tell the rafters were 2 foot apart. Count the rafters, and we were like 56 feet is what we were. So we go into the menu, have to go to mixer mode, then we go into the menu and go and set it up, and we can actually delay it that amount of distance. Then when you're in front of the Everse 12, you're getting the bass and kind of some of the mids coming in from the Evolve 50s, but the highs are not conflicting with the highs coming from the other. And the mids aren't conflicting, and you're not getting in this weird echo thing that's really driving you crazy. Everything's hitting you at the same time, which was an absolute fabulous thing. Now, why I liked using this in those situations more than the 8s is that we were actually doing this during the dance time of it. So that means we're putting a little bit more sound pressure on our dance floor, and then we were beaming that sound signal over to the Everse 12, and we were wanting to have more sound pressure from that. Well, being it's got the 12, it's going to give us a little bit more of a thump and a little bit more hit. And being it's the 12, it can handle a little bit more power, so it can be a little louder. The 8s are great, but the 12 has just a little bit more. And when we had that, we did a little test where we had the 12 and the 8 like very near each other to get an idea. And the 12 really in the live application shone. It was pretty awesome compared to the 8. The 8 was good, but the 12 was like, okay, now I'm a believer that the 12 is a step and a half above the 8 when it comes to the live applications when we're out there in a situation where we need to have a little bit more horsepower. Ceremony, cocktail time, probably not such a big difference, but using it as a remote fill or an additional fill down the line a little bit like we've been using it is definitely a great advantage, having the 12 with a little bit more efficiency, a little bit more power capability. Yeah, very, very happy with how that's all turned out. So we'll put links in the description below. You've been seeing some pictures from our different events with the Everse 12 and how we've done these things. If you've got any questions, put it down in the comment section down below. I'd love to help and answer any questions of how we did this stuff, because there's a lot of different moving parts to get it working correctly. But once you have it kind of dialed in, it's a quick setup and just a few small changes, and then you have really microphone coverage was the big reason why we first did this. And now to an extent, almost every time we have an unusual shaped room or a longer room like that, that's our go-to as that distant fill speaker, so that we have great coverage. And again, microphone, they can hear when I'm going to make an announcement, and it sounds, there isn't any of the mud you get when you have, there's none of that. It's coming through in a very clear and concise way, so people will listen and they will react and kind of follow along as you need them to. Again, links will be in the description below. You can pop out to electrovoice.com and check out the Everse and the Evolved and a whole line of speakers out there. This is John Young. Thanks for watching.